Hello and welcome back to another in-depth weather video. Today we are talking about today's nor'easter, going to be moving in tonight into tomorrow, and how we are still very uncertain about what it will do. There are two main scenarios, but a multitude in between, or outside of those two. All in all, we could get nothing in the northeast. We could get up to 6 or 7 inches of snow. It just depends on what happens, and at this point, we're basically flying blind. But that doesn't mean that we can't hypothetically look at this in kind of a potential view instead of a direct forecast view. So, with the NAM, we've been seeing a fluctuation back and forth between two scenarios. The first of which we'll get to in a little bit, but the second and most likely is a little plume of moisture here in the form of snowfall, and really not much heavy snowfall, maybe some moderate pockets, but mostly light snow, and it will accumulate very light. Now, on the other hand, we have our first scenario, which is less likely at this time, but still possible in the overall scope of things with this storm, where you see a much larger component of moisture moving up from the Gulf and the Atlantic, and we see more areas of heavy snow and widespread moderate snow. This will overall, just having longer periods of moderate to heavy snowfall, bring in more snow, and some areas could even see a half a foot in this scenario. And what I mean by the NAM being bouncing back and forth between the two is really that we're seeing, such as yesterday at 0Z, basically nothing in the northeast corridor, then the next mile run, 3 to 6 inches. Then the next mile run, pretty much nothing. Then the next mile run, 3 to 6 inches. And now the current mile run, basically nothing, but there are some pockets of 3 to 6. So we're seeing some compromise moving toward that first scenario. Now, in the first scenario, we will be seeing a stronger and more coastal low pressure. Therefore, that it will be able to draw in moisture from the Atlantic into the northeast and produce that moderate to heavy snowfall over a short period of time or a long period of time. Therefore, we're more likely to see 3 to 6 inches widespread in the northeast corridor. Now, the second scenario, which is more likely, is that the storm is just a complete miss and it stays weak and further off the coast, and most areas of the northeast will be lucky to see an inch or two. Now, in terms of my predictions, so I have scenario number 1, a stronger, closer low pressure, where you will see a widespread 3 to 6 from parts of eastern central Pennsylvania and the coast of New Jersey, all the way up to Boston, with 6 to 12 inches in the Cape Cod area and 3 to 6 inches in parts of Pennsylvania, including Philadelphia, parts of New Jersey, and then just outside that 3 to 6 inch range in southern New England and New York. Now, the second scenario, which is again more likely, is that we see a weaker, further off low, where we just get a widespread 0 to 3 inches from Pennsylvania to Boston, with some pockets of 3 to 6 and maybe even 6 to 12 in spots such as eastern New Jersey and southeast Massachusetts. But in terms of either of these, you can go either way and really not see much of a difference. If there is, that 3 to 6 inches, there will be some spots that see 6, including Cape Cod, but it's more likely to be on the lower end of these ranges. If you're in the 3 to 6 inch range, most of that area was 3 or 4 inches. If you were in the 6 to 12 inch range, you're definitely not getting a foot of snow from this. As even if you do see banding, you'll maybe get 7 or 8 inches, not 10, 11, 12. It's more likely that if you are in this spot and this scenario does occur, that you see just 6 or 7 inches of snowfall. And then if you're in this 0 to 3 inch range, I mean, 0's definitely on the table, 3's definitely on the table there. You can kind of look at that as the, very slight change in low pressure position. I mean, even a mile or two could make a huge difference with this storm. That's just how this storm has been trending. And in the second scenario, I mean, really not much to say here. In the 0 to 3 inch range, some pockets could get nothing, some pockets could get 3 inches, and I'm not even saying that 4 or 5 inches is not out of the question, as in this weaker scenario, you will be seeing more of those snow showers and clusters of snow showers that could end up setting up in one spot and just producing lighter snowfall for a little bit, maybe some moderate or heavy snowfall, and then you get above that 3-inch amount. But most of the region will just be seeing that very light precipitation, nothing really too special in that way, but something that will be falling from the sky. Now, I also have 3 to 6 inches here in, eastern New Jersey and southeast Massachusetts. Those areas probably on the lower end of that spectrum, and even in this weaker, further off low scenario, Cape Cod does get a second wave of some light to moderate or moderate to heavy snowfall. That's why I have them at 6 to 12, but again, I mean, even in these areas, don't expect 9, 10, 11, 12 inches of snow. It'll be on the lower end of that spectrum, if not below it. There's definitely still a possibility, even in these 6 to 12 inch ranges, for 3 to 6 inches of snow. It's just going to be, especially in the second scenario, one of those storms where banding will mean everything. And that's when we look at our 3 pillars of a storm: track, strength, intensity. We don't know all 3. Now, intensity, you really can't forecast. That's kind of an in-the-moment thing with banding and all that. But you can kind of forecast the intensity if it's going to be widespread. And right now we're seeing widespread light snow in Scenario 2 and widespread light to moderate snow in Scenario 1. It just is a matter of where the band's set up, where that intensity could come into play. In terms of strength, we either have a stronger or a weaker low pressure, and this isn't like major differences like we're talking 1017 and 1000 millibars, where it's a 17 millibar difference. We're talking 1017 millibars and 1012 millibars, where we have a 5 millibar difference, and it could mean the difference between these two scenarios. And the third is that track. If it is closer to shore, you get more of that Atlantic moisture moving into the northeast. Therefore, you'll see more of that moderate to heavy snowfall rather than light to moderate snow. On the other hand, if it moves further off the coast, many of these areas won't be seeing anything, if maybe even an inch of snow, because that Atlantic moisture is staying far off the coast. All in all, the theme with this storm is it's gonna come down to the very, very small details, those of which will probably only be seen on high-res radar or high-res models an hour before they actually occur. So in this type of broader view that I'm looking at here and trying to forecast the entire Northeast, it's just not gonna work. I mean, the best thing to do is just check your weather app every so often, see what's going on, and prepare for the worst and hope for the best. If you want to see more snowfall, hope for that. If you want to see less, hope for that. But that is all I have for today, and with this storm system as it starts to move through. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like, subscribing, and hitting the bell, and I'll see you guys next time.